subconsciously view black people as more dangerous because of what they've seen and what gets showed to them. And this is as simple as typing in 3 white kids on Google than 3 black kids on Google. And then white people who don't want to go out and educate themselves and learn the struggles of the world and how people aren't equal and they're at the top of the tier and they don't have to deal with no bullshit. They just like, they're like, oh, well, racism. Oh, no. I had to, if they had to work even slightly hard, I had to go to college and I had to apply for a few jobs and, I had to work for a few years and, he should have worked harder.
Yeah, my issue with like white people is just like they always want to talk about the symptoms, but they never want to talk about the source of the problem.
Right.
21 Savage is a symptom. Like, fucking poverty is the issue, though. Poverty and education.
Right.
And then I also have an issue with like it's not even just education in bad neighborhoods. It's education across the board. Even in good neighborhoods, people are miseducated. Because I mean, if people were properly educated, you would never hear a white person ask, why does something like BET or HBCU exist? They existed because we're not allowed to get loans from your banks. We weren't allowed to get proper housing because landlords would discriminate against us. So then we were forced to live in fucking terrible, shitty areas. We weren't allowed to get X, Y, and Z. So we had to make our own. Like, it's really that simple. Fucking people, they always, like, white people make jokes about, like, I had to explain this to Jenny. Like, I was like, I'm not big on going to the doctor. Like, I'll go when I have to, but, like, I do have paranoias about this shit. And she's like, what's with black men and going to the doctor? I was like, well, if they properly educated you in school, you would know about the Tuskegee experiments. They experimented on black people, and you don't know what the...
Where they would just give them shit.
Yeah, they were injecting black men with fucking chlamydia and all this other shit, and I don't know what the fuck you're putting in my arm. So, yes, I do have a paranoia of this shit, and that paranoia comes from my father, who got it from his grandfather. Like, that shit, that's generational. And until I see some type of equality, I'm gonna feel that type of way. But it's like, if people were properly educated, people just act like racism just magically disappeared 100 years ago. No. When in reality, I could argue things really didn't start getting better till about the 80s. Because
if anything, I can actually argue that nothing has changed. Because I was watching this video on YouTube, and it was the philosophy of South Park, ironically, and they were talking about how season 19 is their best season ever because like the philosophies of like PC culture and how arguably political correctness is like much more terrible than back in the day where it was like, oh, well, nigga, you can easily point out the villain. See, I'll give you an example, right? Like, okay, Donald Trump is the bad guy here, but Hillary's fucking racist too.
Yeah, I mean,
she's just a liar and she's just hiding it. And like, PC culture makes people so polite and think like, and like, you know, they try and look like they actually give a fuck, but they don't. It's
like I really like what I respect about like Southern white people is like, at least I know you're racist. Not every Southern white person is, but like they'll make it known. So at least I know where you stand, so I can avoid this area. Versus somebody trying to be slick with some shit like denying me your job. Or, like I said, like education, it even goes down to even like early education. Like they prop up fucking Abraham Lincoln like he's some type of god. He was our greatest president. He freed the slaves. Like, first of all,
nigga had slaves too.
He has slaves, but he's on. Abraham Lincoln is on record, and they don't teach us in school. You have to look this shit up. He's on record saying that he believes that black people should be free, but he believes they're not equal. They're subhuman, and they shouldn't have rights. So he's a fuckboy too. And then also they also teach in school that the Emancipation Proclamation was, oh, it was so amazing. He freed. That shit was a strategic military move. Because guess what? If you get rid of the South's workforce, they're not going to have any supplies for the soldiers in the South. That's all it was. Like, trying to act like, oh, he cared about black. Fuck that nigga Lincoln too. It's a miseducation of everything, bro. And it's like, I feel like people, if they understood those simple things, it wouldn't be any of these type of questions going on. But
but people don't want to go look for it, and they're not gonna put that in the textbooks.
Yeah, shit, they trying to get rid of slavery in the textbooks in Texas. So
exactly.
Oh, it didn't happen. It didn't exist. Get over it. How am I supposed to get over something that still affects me today? Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Like, I was walking in the store yesterday, and like, we was walking up some stairs because we was coming out of the parking garage, and this white dude walking past us. And this dude damn near broke his neck staring at me. And I turned around and said, "What the fuck you looking at, bruh?" I'm like, "What are you looking at? I'm not gonna rob you." And Jenny's like, "Get mad, like, calm down. Don't even turn up on his old ass, bruh. He about to die anyway. So it's whatever."